Welcome to Willamette Wake Up. I'm Melanie Zermer. At its June 8th meeting, the Salem Keizer School Board heard testimony from the community and entertained a request by 3 school board directors concerning school safety. The directors said in their presentation, and community members confirmed, that families have repeatedly shared concerns about student harms that go unchecked. And they reported that the district was over-reliant on expulsions and suspensions, especially with students of color. One of the underlying issues, according to the 3 school board members, is lack of data that give a fuller picture of student safety and lack of review of district safety policies, procedures, and practices to see if they're working. We talked about this on Willamette Wake Up prior to that June 8th meeting with Board Director Satya Chandagiri and Chrissy Hudson. Today we're back to talk about what happened June 8th and about an upcoming meeting about where they plan to continue the conversation. And with us in the studio is School Superintendent Andrea Casteñada and School Board Director Jennifer Parker. Thank you both for being here on a Saturday morning, no less.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And well, first of all, did I recap that accurately? Is there anything I missed or misrepresented, Jennifer?
No, you did very well.
Okay.
Did a great job.
That's in a nutshell?
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think I might even just pull a little bit more of the background story and the feel of that meeting into the room. Directors Hudson, Parker, and Chandragiri really took the bull by the horns on this very important topic of safety, took it upon themselves to go out into our community and talk to our family members, talk to a number of people who care very much about public education and what happens in our schools, hear those stories, and then start to convert that into ideas about what kind of changes at scale could be made to improve our school system.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for that background. I think that is important for people to know that they went out into the community and heard directly from them. So, Jennifer, I just simply used the term school safety issues, but could you delve a little bit more into the types of safety concerns described at the June 8th meeting?
Yes, we talked about, like we said, we had different focus groups, and we went out into the community and heard from the families and how their concerns were. And so then we brought it to the board, and gave some of the stories about how some of the issues, the cyberbullying, the bias, the harassment, towards impacting children coming to school, to making it to where they don't want to continue their education and they're dropping out and they're not succeeding in life. And some of them are, going to on the streets and getting to the gang violence. So we went over a lot of the concerns and started the family, a lot of the bias, and a lot of going over the data and information, explaining. This has been going on we've been trying to get data for the last 10 years. I don't think this has been addressed in quite a decade. So we found out none of the data has been reported. So over the meeting, we went and we kind of read over some of the stories from the family and the importance of this issue, and why is it so important, and that we need to address it and bring it to the table and do something about it to take care of this issue.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Okay. And you kind of addressed the second half of the issue, that there wasn't a lot of data. Can you explain where the different data is located, and that it was kind of dispersed among a bunch of different agencies, if I'm remembering correctly?
Yes. Dr. Sanjagiri is the one who did a lot of going behind checking into the data. But as far as he went and he couldn't find any information, he reached out to various agencies, to the ODE, the DA, many different types of organizations, and there was nothing reported. And so he kind of was checking into why hasn't it been in, and if other schools have been having data report. And so he wanted to see where the issues is, why the expulsions, and what type of genders of the students are, and to get down to the nitty-gritty and find out what's going on. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. So Andrea, what was your reaction to hearing these things? Because I'm assuming the school district does have some of this data.
Yeah, I think if I can, I'd like to do a quick sweep through the concerns and ideas around data. First of all, directors Hudson, Chandragiri, and Parker are right that we all operate in any public institution in these highly siloed data systems where, there may be things at any given time that the Department of Human Services knows about students that the Department of Education doesn't know, or Salem Keizer knows about students that the Department of Human Services doesn't know. It is a function of overtaxed systems that are all aggressively pursuing their mission, but we don't always see the way our edges bleed together and either complement or conflict. It is not so much that the data hasn't been reported, is that I think that their research, our director's research, was really around those the edges that bleed together. Are the systems talking to each other? And when we are talking to each other, how do we convert that into action? Where we aren't talking to each other, how might we address it? So I don't want people to feel that it was like data secrecy so much as lack of data integration. On the school system side, you're right, we have an enormous amount of data. And at any given time, we're able to see many different patterns and dimensions of school safety. One of the gifts and the consequences of data is that you can have all the data in the world, but what you also have to have is the time and systems in place to be able to do things with it. Turning data into action is actually the part that the directors are asking for.
Okay.
Our response to this was, and I hope that you all felt it this way, was eager and grateful in bringing such an important topic to the front of the stack. While we always say, and it is true, that safety is our number one priority, there are always ways that school systems can be better, even within their number one priority. And so as we were working with the directors in the background, as they were starting to kind of bring their thinking and talk to people, we were meeting along the way to understand a little bit more about what they were hearing and the direction they were headed. When it came to the June 8th meeting, I think at that point it was a very well thought through and polished presentation of some aspects of safety. There are many that it didn't address because I think it was focused on a few kind of linchpin issues that don't represent all the district does to ensure safety, but they are places where we can improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I remember in recent times there's been, I don't know what you call them, systems in place where students have to walk through something to make sure they're not carrying weapons. I mean, that was in response to some form of public safety issue, right?
Yeah. And if we all think about the word safety, just imagine how big it is.
Right.
It could mean almost anything to anyone. In school systems, we do tend to break it up into some domains. So there's like physical, student and staff physical safety in a building. And those are things like, Director Parker mentioned cyberbullying. That's a form of psychological safety, but is there actual physical harassment happening? Do you feel physically threatened in a space? There's also then facilities safety. Do we have the kind of layered safety systems that prevent and thwart real risk and hazard in buildings? That would be our weapon detection systems. And then finally, psychological safety. Are you in a place where you feel seen and safe? Are you in a place where your identity is affirmed so that you can show up and feel safe to learn in every classroom you enter? So those three domains, they're all constantly working together in complement with one another.
Okay. Anything that you'd want to add to that conversation, Jennifer?
No, I think Andrea nailed it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I said in my introduction that I'd like probably both of you to respond to is that the community members were saying, we went to the district, we laid out our concern, and we didn't feel heard. Response to that? Director
Parker, I'll let you take the lead unless you want me to jump in.
Yeah, like I said, again, I came in, this my first year. This has been a process before I came in, and I've heard Dr. Chandragiri and Chrissy Hudson, they have let me know that they have in the past previously went and tried to ask for data numerous times, and according to them, it never really got answered. So Dr. Chandragiri kind of went on his own more than what he had been doing in the past. And so he went and reached out to all the various agencies. And then it was when we went to and asked for a presentation, then that's when started this ball rolling, started more about the getting the data presented.
Well, were you surprised to hear that parents have said that brought district concerns to the district and nothing ever got resolved on that? Did that surprise you?
Well, to take one quick sweep back on the data, I will, with the utmost respect, disagree with the claim that people have asked me for years for data. I do try to be very responsive to board members, and when they ask for specific things, we provide it. I think where we might have slipped as a superintendent and director team is that I don't think I understood fully that directors were asking for specific data sets for us. And this is the difference for me between the question, what are we doing about safety, and provide me the OCR data set related to X. If that had been asked of me, I absolutely would have provided it. And this is how we learn to work better as a governance team. I was really disappointed in myself that I didn't understand what was being asked. And now we have a chance to kind of tighten our collaboration and make sure that every time there is a question related to safety, I'm now careful to ask the question, are you asking for is this a data question, or this is a question of practice?
Okay.
Now, going back to, was I surprised? I think that, no, I wasn't surprised, because we serve 37,000 students, tens of thousands of families, and for the vast majority, we actually never receive a complaint from them. And so there isn't a complaint to have successfully or unsuccessfully resolved. But there are always people who have experiences in a system our size that aren't great and that they shouldn't have had. And in those instances, we have many people working to resolve the issue. I can tell you that in the fraction of a percent of the complaints that come to me eventually, whether they're related to cyberbullying or safety or some kind of like racial or ethnic discrimination or bias, there are always ones we can't fully resolve. And I meet with parents regularly who are at that point. What I can tell everybody is that we work so hard to resolve them. And we live in an elevated time. We are in a moment when, for all of us, hurt and fear, anxiety, indignation, sometimes anger is just right below the surface. And once the surface is nicked, it's actually really hard to find the path forward. And having said all of that, we still have work to do. We can be better, and we want to be better, which is, I think, part of the path that our directors have helped us find.
Great. And I want to let our listeners or viewers know that if you've just joined us, I'm talking with Superintendent Andrea Casteñada and School Board Director Jennifer Parker about school safety issues. There was a meeting about it June 8th, and I think we should move forward and find out. So Jennifer, after the first meeting, what did you hope would happen?
I felt very positive that last meeting. I felt that the other board members were on board and they agreed that we all need to address this area and we do need to do some improvement on it. I feel very, very positive that I think that as a board as a whole, that we could address families' concerns and make this to where a positive experience and continue to go over it throughout the years. This is just not a one-time do. We will continue to address this issue throughout years and change as needed based on the community's needs. So I'm very positive with this.
Great. Yeah. And we're having this conversation now because there is an August 8th meeting coming up, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But what can you share with us, Superintendent, about what's happened since that meeting to move forward on this?
I agree. It was a very positive meeting. I think we spent over half an hour just kind of allowing the unpacking of this issue. And let me just share a few things that I was startled to find after following the lead of the directors and really digging in. The first and most important is that the directors were correct in that although we have many different forms of board policies, we do not have a freestanding board policy addressing school safety. And if you are simultaneously an organization that says that safety is your top priority, and you simultaneously do not have a policy that makes that part of the accountability and governance structure, then there is a mismatch between what you say and what you have. So the first thing that's happening, and we've been working on it together since that June 8th meeting, is the creation of Salem Keizer's first board policy that creates clear accountability provisions related to school safety. That is entirely a testament to Director Parker and our other board members' advocacy and efforts. The second thing that's happening simultaneous to working towards that adopted policy is we have already started a comprehensive review of every single safety-related procedure, administrative procedure, district policy, board policy, and state law. So kind of imagine a big table laid out with stacks, columns of papers. And what we're doing is standing around that table saying, does A match B? Is there a gap between A and C? And it hasn't been done comprehensively in a few years. It is absolutely necessary, and we're finding things that we want to tighten and correct. And then finally, we also wholly agree that accountability includes public reporting, and so we'll be proposing an annual report with key indicators of school district safety, focusing on the things that happen inside of our buildings on our campuses during our school day. And if you'll allow me, I just want to clarify something related to this. While we wish that we could be the partners that support safety 24 hours a day across every dining room, apartment, house, park, street corner, bus stop, we are at some point a K-12 public school system. And so what we can control are the things that happen in our buildings during our school day. And so we're going to be really dialed in on those dimensions of safety.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do remember at our the first program we did on this, Dr. Chandragiri talked about that there were police records that the school district weren't aware of and vice versa. And so he was, in my mind, of the understanding that somehow you should be talking about that. But what I hear you saying is your work is going to be with what happens within the school district, what happens within the school buildings.
We actually do partner quite extensively with Salem PD, with Marion County, and with Keizer PD. And so when Dr. Chandragiri was explaining it, I think what I would add on is that we have all of the appropriate levels of data sharing and information sharing, ranging from kind of the ground floor level, individual officers, to the higher levels of coordination, including the chief of police. We pay for 2 full-time salaries in the Keizer PD, and those officers, though not employees of our school district, are designated to be part of the rapid response and interdisciplinary team that helps us understand what's going on in the lives of children, whether it's a bad decision that happened during the school day or a bad decision that happened outside of the school day. So we do have a lot of...
So there's some information sharing.
We information share in all the ways that are legal and appropriate. And it is extensive. What I'm saying is that when we publish data to our community about safety in schools, we cannot publish, and I do not believe we should be publishing information about things that happen over the summer in a park. Not because they don't matter. Those still affect the lives of kids and families, but that is not our jurisdiction. If it happens in August in a park, we want to know about it as a school district to support the kid when he or she returns to school. But that is not something that happened under our watch. And so our reporting is going to be about the school day, year, and campus.
I see. So what you're saying is that you wouldn't be reporting that in the public realm. Got it. Any comments from you about that conversation, Jennifer?
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
No.
All right. So I think we've talked about what happened at the June 8th meeting. It sounds like okay, you said what's been happening since the June 8th meeting, and now there's an August 8th meeting. Now that is a Saturday, so people go, that's not usually when school board meets, but there is a public meeting happening that day. Would either one of you be able to tell me what's going to happen there?
It's our annual retreat that we have every summer, and we go over as a group where we work together and we address issues. Like one of them is going to be safety, and then there's some other issues. It's where we kind of refine, get together, and tackle like ELs, executive limitations, different policies. And so when we get together, and it's kind of more of an intimate, small, it's not as, I mean, it's for the public where they can watch, but not as many.
It's not
It's
like
less
public
people.
testimony, right? Nothing like that. No public hearings.
Yeah, there's no public comment at
Right.
the retreat.
Right.
Right. And we kind of work together when you address issues. And one of them is going to be the safety. And then there will be other issues we're going to address
Okay.
too.
Will it meet at the same location where the
Yes.
school board meets?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anything that you'd want to add to that, Jennifer? I'm sorry. Anything you'd want to add to that, Andrea?
Just that I think this is, in my mind, this is an example of us reaching toward being our best selves as a board and as a school district, because an important, relevant, timely issue was brought by directors. We were able to partner up right away behind the scenes. So within a week, we were like, okay, here's the idea we have. We're going to kick off this comprehensive inventory of our safety infrastructure. We're going to start to work on a proposed executive limitation, which is a new policy related to safety. And we're going to start taking a look at the data elements that could and should be part of regular reporting. That happened all within a couple of weeks. This cycle, though it may not seem fast to our public and our listeners, June 8th, the topic is brought. August 8th, solutions are already underway, is actually a very tight turn. And I think it demonstrates how seriously we're taking the issue, but it also demonstrates how important it was to raise the issue to begin with.
Can you remember, since you've been here, how many years have you been the superintendent in Salem
Just
Keizer?
entering my fourth.
Okay. Has there in your recollection, has there anything been like this before where the directors brought an issue to the top which kind of shifted your direction?
Well, certainly the board's leadership is central to the leadership of the district. So I would say on some level it happens regularly. Another great example is the board 3 years ago set 5 measurable goals, and they were super clear. So clear that there is no question in anyone's mind about what our priorities are. They are 3rd grade reading, 9th grade on track, graduation, attendance, sense of belonging. And 4-year graduation rate. I don't remember if I said that. So 3 years ago, the board said, we are taking leadership here. We want to be absolutely clear about what matters most and what success looks like. And everything we've done as a school district since then has been to realize gains in those areas. So I think that's another example of the board really leaning into its powerful and necessary leadership posture and setting forth a vision for success.
Yeah.
This is example of setting forth a vision for security.
Yes, I got it. And I really appreciate that. And it's really good to know that the school board directors actually have some influence because you're elected officials and people would expect that. And so you've been with the board you've been active now over a year, right?
Yes.
About a year.
Heading to
And
my-
so
yeah.
what would you say, like now, knowing what you know now, what was like maybe a big aha moment of being a school board director?
Policies, the different things that we tackle and we go over, stuff that I never realized. I guess how much power the school board has over the district and what they can do, and how they can influence what's going on. So it's just been a world of knowledge, a world of information.
I could only imagine.
Yeah.
Yes, you must be drowning in information.
Right.
And now I'd like to turn a question to you, Superintendent. As we go into the next school year, what are some things you want the community to know about this upcoming school year?
One thing I want the community to know is that as we enter, September 8th and 9th, first days of school. So, we're gearing up for some of the most exciting days. As we do that, I want to make sure that people remember that we are a school district that is actually climbing upward. So, last year we had our first significant academic gains since COVID. And that is the result of the board's leadership in saying, get this done. Salem Keizer, get this done. And our schools, our leaders, our staff, and our students have responded. We are going to have another year of academic gains, which I will not be able to talk about in detail until October when the Department of Ed releases the data. But I can tell you right now, we're going to have a second year of gains. And that means that we are a district on the move. And when I meet people on the street, they often have stories about their individual student, and those are usually very positive stories. But I would love to aggregate all those stories together and say we are a district on the move in all of the right ways. And I just feel so grateful and proud to be part of a public school system with 7 bosses who bring such clarity and a system that brings such courage around making the changes that are necessary for students to be their best, and also just plunging forward with a sense of both hope and skill around changing the conditions for teaching and learning, and in that changing student outcomes.
Great. Thank you. Any last words from you, Jennifer, before we wrap up this conversation?
I would just want to say I'm very grateful that we are able to address this issue. It's been a long time coming, and I'm very positive about the upcoming retreats and our fellow board members, and that we're going to tackle this and we're going to make it positive and make it a positive for students so they want to be there, feel safe, because without safety, there's no education. We need safety for kids to succeed and to thrive. So I'm very, very, very happy that we are tackling this and we're going to make it a positive experience.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank you both. I've been talking with Jennifer Parker. She's a Salem Keizer School Board Director, and the Superintendent, Andrea Casteñada. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.